Hey, Steve Harrison here, and I'm with Dr. Ellen, the Midlife Whisperer. And wow, I know you're all about helping people make their next chapter their best chapter. What is it about midlife that is such a special opportunity?
Well, you know yourself. You can take all of the lessons that you've learned in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, take all of that, kind of put them in a blender, make a smoothie, and decide, you know what? This is what's working, this is what's not working. I'm wiser. Hopefully I love myself. I love the people that I'm with. You make some changes in your life, and it's a time of also a lot of challenges, a lot of struggles, a lot of stress.
Yeah.
But you can really use all of those things to transform yourself and really make the most of your upswing. What's so interesting is there is a downswing at midlife around age 48 across 138 countries. But what happens is the research shows that there is a U-shaped happiness curve. So you get an upswing as you head into your 60s, your 70s. So it's really a powerful time of transformation where you can really know and love yourself on a deep level and make some huge transformational changes in your life so that you really can have a fabulous next chapter.
As you say in your book and on your radio show, midlife rocks, right? And I know you share 7 different principles to how to transform people's lives. What's one of the most important things for people to do?
The most important thing is truly to love yourself. And this was really, of all of my 7 steps, you can enter the steps at any step you like. But this was the step, learning to love myself was the step that totally transformed my life.
So how can somebody do that? I mean, on one hand, it might seem like a platitude. Oh, love yourself. Everybody heard that. But you're a coach. What's something that you tell people to do?
Well, I tell people to practice self-compassion. And I think about self-compassion as the how of self-love. Self-compassion is essentially treating yourself the way you would a good friend. And when you do that, you actually start to fall in love with yourself. And when you love yourself, you stop doing the things that insult your soul. And you start attracting the things that are truly in your best interest.
Give me an example, either from yourself or a client you've worked with, just what that looks like.
Sure. Well, let's say, for example, if someone's an entrepreneur, they want to start a new business, write a book. And when you love yourself, you can take risks, and self-compassion really is a parachute so that if I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to fail, things are going to happen. But with self-compassion, rather than saying, oh my gosh, I'm a mess, everything's going wrong, you kind of put your hand on your heart and just like, this is normal, okay? What do I need to learn? How do I need to pivot?
Treat yourself like your own best friend, is
exactly.
What you're saying, right?
So
Yeah.
self-compassion is a parachute, but it's also a life vest. So if you are going through divorce, your parents are ill, or you lost a loved one, or you're going through an illness yourself, or you're having trouble at your job, when you feel like you're sinking, it's really a life vest that can keep you afloat because you can be there for yourself 24/7.
As you said, people are on a downward curve in one level. At 48, they start, people feel a drop in energy. What do we do about that?
Well, first of all, you need to know yourself. So you need to know, for me, before I started to rock my midlife, it was like I was climbing up a building, a ladder of success, but it was up against the wrong building. And so the first thing is you've got to know yourself. You've got to know, like, who am I? What do I like? What are my strengths? What's my genius zone? What am I great at? So that's the first step. Then we talked about loving yourself. Then the other step that's super important, which is step 3, is energizing yourself. If you don't take care of your physical container, your body, you can't rock midlife. You really need to take care of yourself. And I talk a lot, I'm a registered dietitian, I'm a board certified health and wellness coach, of just how do we eat right? How do we move our body? How do we deal with stress? How do we make sure that we're getting a good night of rest every night so our body can regenerate? We can reprogram ourselves when we're sleeping. So taking care of your physical self is so important at every stage, but particularly at midlife, particularly for women, because our bodies are changing. We're going through menopause, right? We're going through that change. We are also, having less muscle, less energy. So you need to not exactly fight the aging, but work with your aging, your bodies, with, pro-aging techniques by eating right, by moving more, by making sure that you're, again, getting rest, that you're dealing with stress, you're surrounding yourself with positive people, just doing things to keep you energized. Really, what you're doing is doing less things that drain you and more things that energize you.
What's one of the most common questions that you get asked when you're doing your radio show or you're coaching people? What's one of the big ones?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I get asked all the time, I'm looking back at my life and I feel so sad, like time is passing me by. What can I do? And what I say to people is, first of all, let's change that story. Take a look and see, maybe you've raised wonderful kids, you have grandkids, you've had a career, you're looking at retirement. Look at all the positive things in your life, and also look at how much time you have in front of you. Truly, one of the most exciting things about midlife is that we're living longer. We are living into our 80s, our 90s. I'm planning on making it to 100. So we've got 30, 40, 50 years to really have a powerful second adulthood. And so my work is all about empowering women to make the most of this amazing next chapter that we are gifted. I mean, until recently, people died at 55. You got to empty nest, you got through menopause, and you croaked.
But not anymore,
Not anymore.
And you get to choose, like my doctor said, you're probably going to make it to 85, but you get to choose now how you feel as you get there. And what I see you doing is helping people in all levels, physically, psychologically, how to really make the most of midlife, because midlife rocks.
It does. And taking care of yourself doesn't have to be hard. And that's where that sort of self-love piece comes in. Do it because you love yourself, not because you loathe yourself. I think so often when we are approaching, we're in midlife, we're trying to make those physiological changes. We feel really bad about, let myself go. I shouldn't have had those chips. I should be going and doing CrossFit, all of these shoulds. But when you love yourself, you're doing it because you care about yourself and you make it fun. I mean, I just took up paddleboarding. I am, walking, biking, kayaking, having so much fun. I live on a mini farm and we grow our own food and we put it up for the winter. And so it can really be an incredibly vibrant, fun time.
What would you say to somebody who's saying, wow, she is really on it. She's doing all these things. I just feel right now, I know I need to get out of this rut that I'm in. I'm in a rut. Okay, I've got to have more compassion for myself, but just how do I'm just feeling stuck.
Well, the first thing is to just do one thing to get unstuck, whatever that is. It could be as simple as reading the Washington Post instead of reading the New York Times. It could be driving a different way to work. It could be starting to drink green tea instead of coffee because you've heard it's healthier. But you've got to shift your focus. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results, as Einstein said. So what you really have to do is just start changing one thing. Maybe
because if you change one thing, then that begins a process of some confidence, right? Momentum.
Yeah, and confidence is really about, it comes from the word confine, which means to trust yourself. So yes, getting some momentum going, maybe calling an old friend or making a new friend or taking a class. You've said, I've always wanted to take that dance class or that drawing or writing class. Do one thing that's new in your life to create, as you said, some momentum.
That's great. Dr. Ellen, the Midlife Whisperer, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.